The Law Be With You podcast show, also known as Christian Fandom Geek on YouTube, is now part of the Red 5 network. Red 5 is a network of podcast shows aimed at bringing great quality content, especially Star Wars. And so look forward to some awesome collaborations on the Red 5 network with the Law Be With You podcast show. There is an episode I want to do with you about talking about Scarlett Johansson and her comments that she's made recently.
Okay.
So there's a video by a guy on YouTube called The Critical Drinker. I don't know if you've come across him, but his videos are he's funny. Like he's a bit brash, and a bit kind of boyish. Kind of like the sort of guy that's kind of like giving banter that quite young guys would like.
Okay.
But he's made a few decent points in what he said about Scarlett. Scarlett's kind of was obviously moaning about her character, the Black Widow, being over-sexualized in the Iron Man. Is it Iron Man 2 film?
Yeah.
Or 3? Yeah. About her character being over-sexualized and seen as a plaything and as a sexual object. And he's kind of deconstructed what she said quite well, kind of thing. And he's kind of, the way he's done it, it's made her kind of look a little bit like a bit of a hypocrite sort of thing.
Okay.
Which I'll send you the video his argument's quite good actually, because it's kind of, I think it's kind of a case of you kind of know that she's come to the end of her run at Marvel sort of thing, and it's kind of it's one of those things like if that was the case, she should have kind of spoke out about it earlier, and like now that she's kind of come to the end of her run, it's kind of like she's kind of saying that now. It's a bit weird, really, but and then kind of going into her character, who's a kind of femme fatale sort of archetypal character. That's the role of the Black Widow type thing. So it's kind of, it's either one of those things where I think you either kind of you're not comfortable with it and you don't do the role, or you kind of accept that's part of the character. So that's part of the narrative of the character.
Yeah, I get that, but I would preface that with that 2008 and now are two different things now.
Well, you've obviously got the influence of the Me Too movement and a lot of the things that have come out since then. So, you have got like you said, like a very different social. But
there's
different.
Yeah, I mean, there's certain things I would say that are in the early Marvel films that wouldn't wash right now. So
we do need to talk about this then, don't we?
Yeah, but it's true though. I mean, even look at how much of an easy target was the whole idea of the 10 rings in Iron Man 1 and making them Middle Eastern and stuff like that. That was just an easy thing to do. But I don't think if they were to do that now, they'll do that.
It's very cliched.
Yeah.
I mean, they obviously had to. The one thing they had to do and throw it in. Actually, you'd know this. I don't know if the guy's in the comic books. You know, the Muslim guy that helps him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know if he's in the comic books, but obviously
he's Chinese in the comics.
Is he Chinese in the comics?
Yeah. So yeah, but there's a whole lot of things that I can understand what that argument, but you got to also preface that there was a different time. Obviously, the roles weren't the way that roles are. I mean, the whole idea of that, it was only 2017 that we had a major studio doing a superhero movie with a woman.
Okay, Wonder Woman. That's the first Wonder Woman film. Yeah, which was a film.
You know, I mean, with that kind of backing, I mean, yes, we did have Elektra, we'd had Catwoman, but you know, there was no backing in that. That was ticking a box. While you know, we saw what they did with Wonder Woman and Captain Marvel was an actual concerted effort to actually be more inclusive and bring women into the genre. So yeah, I get what that is saying, but I would kind of disagree because Scarlett Johansson as what's her name, as Black Widow.
Yeah,
basically that was the only show in town. That was the only role.
So you know what, this will be part. This is part of the show now. So okay, but we will talk about this properly again. So if folks listening at home, we will talk about this properly now. But this is an interesting little start of the discussion. It'll be a part one and a part two. Okay. So what about the fact that you could have just said, okay, look, just don't play a superhero character. Then if you're uncomfortable about the femme fatale archetype of the Black Widow character, then just don't take that role. Like, be congruent, be true to your values, and don't go for it. Obviously, she was a younger actress. She was younger actress then. She was breaking through into Hollywood then. I think she would still have had some decent roles before that, but it was obviously Marvel playing Black Widow that's exploded her career to new heights, sort of thing. So I do get what both.
Okay, but
there'll be a
on the
couple of
other
sides
side,
to what you're saying.
yeah, but on the other side of that, number one, actors have got to eat, and as someone who has a family member who is an actor, you got
Yes,
to
you do.
eat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you do.
number
Do you?
yeah. Do you, like at that time are women in Hollywood empowered to give up roles like that? I mean,
Ooh,
we're talking about a role like
yeah.
they just announced this week that
Mm.
Marvel aren't doing multi-film role deals anymore. Now
Oh, really?
you're telling that Kevin Feige said now that it's big enough that if a actor wants to come back, they'll come back. But at that time, like you had someone like Samuel L. Jackson, who when he signed on guaranteed nine films.
Yeah.
Now I don't know exactly how much of a deal that Scarlett Johansson had was to set up for Avengers 1.
Yeah, yeah, of course. Yeah.
So we know for a fact that Scarlett Johansson was not signing up to be a second fiddle to Tony Stark for long. She knew that
Mm.
she was going to be in Avengers. So do you pass that up? And that's not about values, because at the time your values don't matter, because in 2008 to 2010 a
Mm.
woman in Hollywood trying to be in any kind of action genre was not
Yeah.
happening.
Okay. Okay. So right. Okay. So
So like I think
yeah.
that's a bit of a spurious argument. And for
Well.
her to
Well.
be in a place now where she is somewhat untouchable, um
Yes. Of course. Yeah. She's
where
really.
she
She's
can
meant to
she
maybe, hasn't she?
yeah, she's made a name for herself now,
Mm.
to a point where she pushes the needle on film projects. I know for a fact, as terrible Ghost in the Shell is and how hurtful I thought that film was, after loving the original, as great as that movie is and as great as that was,
Yeah.
would that film have been made if Scarlett Johansson wasn't starring? That's the
Mm.
kind of power that she has in Hollywood now. So she can actually now voice what she actually wants to say. And
Okay.
the thing is that it's not about being hypocritical. It's then moving the needle forward for other women, because now we
Yeah.
have someone like Florence Pugh who
Mm.
can be now in the Marvel universe, and it's not and she even comments about it. It's now a character that doesn't have to be around the male gaze.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. So yeah, I hear what you're saying now, and obviously with Scarlett, like you say, she has done really well from her Marvel run. And I have to say, I think she's played Black Widow really well in everything that I've seen her in playing that character.
Yeah,
But actually, even in general, I think she's a really good actress anyway. I'm trying to remember what the name was of this film, a non-Marvel film. Her. I don't know
yeah,
if you've seen
amazing
it.
film. One of my favorite
Her.
films in the last 10 years.
Her is such a good film,
Yeah,
and for me, it's criminally underrated as a film. I think it was her and Joaquin Phoenix, if I'm correct,
yeah,
as
but
the main.
she wasn't the originally cast for that film.
Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, an interesting story. Samantha Morton was originally cast in that
So
film.
Samantha Morton from Minority Report. That's right, isn't it?
Yes,
That's the right one.
yes,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
that's correct. She was the one who was the voice, and they actually completely re-recorded it with Scarlett Johansson
Wow.
after principal photography.
That's astonishing. That's
Yeah,
actually
it's
astonishing.
quite interesting. That is.
Yeah, after you've done, yeah, because once you've done principal photography, you've pretty much like you've gone way into the project then.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's a great film. So if folks at home listening to the show, Christine Fandogi, Lord Be With You podcast show, go and rent a copy or stream a copy of Her. It is a phenomenal film. We won't give spoilers away on it, but just to
Yeah,
say, the and this is what I love about that film, the arc on it. You won't predict it. You won't really predict that film. You won't really predict the ending on it. It has a little bit of a sort of, you might have a, think, could this happen? Could that happen? Um,
yeah,
but and I think it's a film that deals with kind of sort of existential crisis of sort of living in a very digital world,
yeah,
and kind of what and also questioning what is it to have a relationship? What is it? What's real?
yeah,
What is a real relationship, and how do you quantify that, and interaction, our relationships with machine intelligence and computer intelligence is, in the future, is that credible? Is that, if that machine or that technology or that software, if it's intelligent enough, if it's has a level of autonomy, can it count as a person? So you go into the
yeah.
philosophy of what is a person as well. Really
Well,
interesting.
it goes with a similar thing with Ex Machina. It's asking the same
Yeah,
sort of questions.
yeah, yeah. Another brilliant film as well.
Yeah, but what I like about her feels more, I don't know how to say it, like a fairy tale kind of way
It's
of doing
war. It's
things.
warmer, isn't it? It's
What?
a
Yeah,
romantic film. It's warm. It's a
yeah.
warm film. In
Well, yeah. Well, I think Ex Machina kind of
Oh
is,
gosh, Ex Mach
yeah, is a little bit more thoughtful, I think.
so Ex Machina is very cerebral and quite dark.
Yeah,
It's quite. Whereas I never got that vibe from her. I never got that vibe that it was a dark film at all.
yeah,
And I think Joaquin Phoenix plays a role with such warmth, and such sincerity that
yeah,
you want him to be happy.
yeah. You do.
You're really rooting for him because he's a genuinely nice guy, and you just
Yeah.
think, man, like for him to, Anyway, we won't go too much into because it would go to spoiler territory. But guys, listen to watch that film. So okay, back to Scarlett then. Back to Scarlett. Like, okay, so she's made it big. She's pioneering now.
Yeah,
Saying, look, and she's reflecting back on her run with Marvel, like we're saying, she's like saying, like, look, and critical drinkers kind of picked up on like the fact that this idea of kind of why you only now sort of going on about these things, and not only that, but also like say what mentioned about the fact that he's also gone on a more meta level as well. He's talked about across Hollywood this trend of kind of de-feminizing women characters. So I think it's the idea that you are kind of seeing it a little bit with superhero films. It's the idea of they don't want the women characters to look elegant or to look ladylike or to look feminine, but almost more similar to the men or to the
but
male roles.
that's happened forever.
Okay, go.
All I have to say is Ellen Ripley, Sarah Connor, like
Yes.
those like that trope has been there forever. Like, think of an action movie with a female that hasn't been portrayed in like using like coded masculine tendencies. Look at what other film I was just thinking about, like even in Aliens with Vasquez, like that
Oh, she's a
character.
brilliant character. She's amazing.
Yeah, yeah, but they strip her of her femininity. Like,
Yeah, this is
like,
okay. Okay, so let's talk about Vasquez quickly. Vasquez, really liked her character. I think I liked what I liked about her character was obviously like, because the thing is, she's not ugly. She like they haven't put like a
yeah,
very plain girl. She's a pretty girl, but they've made her look, she's obviously. I think, I don't know. Probably in real life, she probably would have been working out. I don't know if she
yeah,
was in MMA or something like that. I don't know, but she looks like the type of girl that was at MMA. Like, she looks like a bit like Gina Carano type of thing. Like, sort of,
yeah,
can handle herself. But back in the day, and she obviously she was the elite female warrior that was, and her role really was that she was as good, if not better, than the men around her, wasn't it?
yeah,
In terms of what, as a super soldier, that's what she was.
yeah,
And I guess kind of like, so the examples you said, I like those examples, especially Vasquez. I like that example that you've got, and the sort of Sarah Connor and the sort of Sigourney Weaver as Ripley as well. They're
yeah.
really good examples of women who are kind of, they're warriors, aren't they? They're sort of,
Yeah,
and
but there's not, but not just warriors. They're coded masculine. Then
yeah,
yeah, they strip the femininity from them. That's why the switch changes in 2017. Where, like, I know what you're saying, but if you look at Captain Marvel and Wonder Woman as
Yeah,
films,
yeah.
those do not strip those characters of their femininity.
No, they don't.
Yeah,
No,
so
they
that's what
don't.
that's where the move changes. Can can uh can Scarlett Johansson really talk to 10 years before that and make any comment about it? No. Post
Mm,
2017, post Wonder Woman, post Captain Marvel, whatever you think about those two films,
mm.
they are characters that are strong and feminine. Like
Yeah,
there was obviously the comment. I can't remember if it was Captain Marvel or Wonder Woman. I can't remember. James Cameron did say that, you know, you don't see the flaws in those women and it doesn't make them women, but he's one of the most biggest perpetrators of actually using quote unquote strong women, which is essentially just stripping them of their femininity and just coding them with masculine traits.
yeah. And why do you think that is? Why do you think that they were doing
Be-
that?
because the trope is for an action character to to have those traits, to have those characteristics. What Wonder Woman, which Wonder Woman has been doing since the early 40s, in it, is be a woman and
Yeah,
be
of
strong.
course. Yeah, yeah,
Ms. Marvel, Carol Danvers. That's even in her earliest incarnations as Ms. Marvel.
yeah,
That's what she was. That's what you see characters like Storm. You know that these
yeah,
characters there are that, you know what I mean. If you look at a small sample size,
yeah,
yes, that the stripping of that is there because, as I said, it's been going on since, you know, James Cameron and with Vasquez or with Ripley
yeah,
and stuff like that. I mean, if you
yeah,
look
yeah.
at, I mean, even if you look at Alien
Mm.
by Ridley Scott and then Aliens,
Yeah,
look at the character of Ripley.
I
Ripley's
know.
two different characters in those films.
Totally true because she's so vulnerable in the first film, and you even, I mean, even to
Yes,
the degree of you seeing her naked, pretty much nearly naked and stuff like that. Like,
yeah,
like and she's vulnerable in that film. Like, she's really like you're thinking about how's she gonna get out of this situation, and
yeah,
she in the first film, and in the second film, it's like, hang on a minute, who's this? Like, what I mean? Was
yeah.
she's turned into like Wonder Woman? Like, what's going on here?
Yeah, I mean, and then I know that people hate this, but Alien 3, I think it's a really good film. But Alien
Oh
3,
gosh,
she's
don't go
basically
there. Please don't
leading.
go there.
Alien 3, I think Alien 3 is a very misunderstood film, especially if you watch the assembly cut. And the assembly cut is fantastic. But by the by, like that's Ripley going into a male prison and leading everything. Now,
Yeah.
Is that the same Ripley that you would have seen in Alien? No,
No, no way.
but it's again, it's a gradual stripping of coded feminine traits.
Mm. This is, you know what? Obviously, well, this is a really great episode. And guys at home listening to the show, like I said, this is like really we were just talking about this episode, and it's because and we had something other things to talk about, but this is becoming the episode right now. So sometimes you got to go with how it is on a podcast. So
Yeah.
that's amazing. Okay, so um really okay. So you're talking about that. So in reality, then obviously there's a lot of controversy with women characters, and I mean we will talk. An episode we will talk about and probably next time, which is Rey in Star Wars.
I mean, even that it's right there. Right there is a character who leads the franchise, who is powerful,
Yeah.
controls, like is the center of the story, and doesn't actually shed any of her femininity.
Yeah, I mean, okay. So what do you think about? And we kind of brushed on this a little bit in our Last Jedi debate episode, which,
Yeah.
by the way, is really doing well. I think it's nearly up to 150 views on YouTube,
All
um,
right.
which is pretty impressive for it's so far for where we're going with the show.
Yeah.
Nearly up to 150 views is and it's got a lot of it's getting positive comments on there as well. It's a really phenomenal episode. So guys at home, if you haven't listened to that episode with me and Omar. It turns into a bit of mini debate, but it's a phenomenal episode talking about the Last Jedi. A lot of good arguments either way. Really,
Yeah.
and we both enjoyed making that episode, didn't we? It's
Yeah, it was
probably
a fantastic one.
it's probably my favorite episode of the show so far. Really great episode. Okay, so Ray, obviously the scavenger girl on Jakku. Um, we see, we don't know much about her past or her parentage, and she ends up being the central protagonist of the whole film, and then we find out of the whole franchise. And like you're saying, like you feel that she's still kind of feminine. She got do you think it's fair, or do you think it's unfair that she got labeled a sort of Mary Sue sort of trope? Do you think that's a bit unfair?
I do. I genuinely do. I personally don't like that term really, because I think it's
Yeah,
quite a derogative type thing really. Because
yeah.
what I mean, what is that really saying?